So it looks like Andy Cohen is having some regrets about this RHONY redo with the RHONY reboot and RHONY Legacy. Welcome back to the Kempire Daily YouTube channel, your #1 source for pop culture news and music, entertainment, reality TV, and so much more. As always, be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you never miss out on breaking news when we go live or when we upload. So I'm sure you've been hearing some of the murmurs over the weekend about what's going on with RHONY. The RHONY reboot is supposed to have a more diverse cast. There's a bunch of new women, and some of your familiar faces were going to be a part of something called RHONY Legacy, working title. No confirmation on who is going to be a part of that, but the last I told you, Dorinda sort of hinted, but then was backstepping that she might be a part of Legacy. Rumors are also swirling that maybe Jill Zarin will be a part. However, if you thought Ramona was going to return to Legacy, you would be wrong, according to multiple reports. But no confirmation on whether or not that's happening. We've been hearing they've been filming in New York City, but no confirmation on who's a part, or if it was RHONY, the reboot, or RHONY Legacy. As you also know, because Real Housewives of New York's last season fell apart the way that it did, they did keep some people in the fold, including Countess Luann and Sonia Morgan, or Sonia. So, and they filmed their own sort of reboot-esque where we followed them together. Well, now it seems as if Andy Cohen is having a lot of regret. So, before we even get into what might be happening, according to Bravo and Cocktails, they're also looking for a new field producer to start almost immediately. This is what it says in regards to the description. The description to me is hilarious. And as always, we cite our sources. Bravo and Cocktails brings us this information. But this information you can find on anywhere you search for jobs. They're looking for a field producer here in New York City starting October 17th. Okay? Job requirements: must be local to location or willing to work as a local. Should I apply for this job? I have no experience in field production, but I pretend to be a lawyer here. I can pretend to be a producer there. Anyways, looking for an experienced field producer. Oh, damn. Never mind. Who can run a crew, manage difficult talent, write hot sheets, and direct cameras. So they're looking for a new producer. So what exactly is happening with RHONY the reboot? I'm hearing mixed things, that they're not necessarily working out the way that they should. And that was the original Bravo and Cocktails tea on RHONY, was that things were falling apart. So this was the original tea that Bravo and Cocktails had. They said the new RHONY reboot has gone to ish. Test filming with the finalized cast did not go well, and 3 stars have now dropped out. Bravo are holding crisis meetings to decide what to do ahead of the potential BravoCon announcement. There's talk of prioritizing Legacy and airing it on Bravo. Don't expect Legacy in the title. My guess from what I've heard is that they'll scrap the reboot or rebrand it to Girlfriends of New York City, allegedly. So the things going on with the RHONY reboot are in shambles. Look, we already know what exactly this RHONY reboot was supposed to be, but I'll get to that in a second. According to Andy Cohen, he's having a lot of regret. In a follow-up to this tea, Bravo and Cocktails reports this. They say the RHONY tea is 100% true. Bravo are majorly regretting their decisions regarding RHONY. Andy watched the first 2 episodes of Lou and Sonia's spinoff, allegedly titled Real Housewives of New York, Luann and Sonia Take Benton, and told a producer, "We've effed up big time. Meetings are being held to see how they can go forward with the 2 shows. Andy wants RHONY back to its old form, no legacy involved." Old form, what does he mean by that? What does he mean by that? Here's the thing. For those that might be under a rock or forgotten why exactly they decided to scrap RHONY, RHONY's ratings weren't the greatest. RHONY season 13 the ratings were not great. But the backlash that Ramona received from the Black community, from the Jewish community, for some of the problematic things that she said that season, and what she's been saying for multiple seasons, They didn't want to answer to that. So what they did was, you know what? We're going to reboot this entire show. They have never done it before, and they made it seem as if, oh, this is something that you guys have been asking us to do, and so now we're going to do it. Yeah, so they didn't have to answer to those questions, so that Ramona didn't have to answer to those questions. And they were hoping by putting Ramona on Ultimate Girls Trip that people would fall in love with her again and want her back. But they didn't. They didn't. So they said, you know what, we're going to do something different. Because New York is probably one of the most diverse cities in the world. Let's have New York reflect that. So they decided to do that, and apparently casting whoever they casted just didn't mold together well. And probably because none of these women are real friends. No matter how you feel about the original cast of The Real Housewives of New York, at least those women knew each other and there were real relationships. And we keep going back to that. Please cast a group of people that really do know each other. They don't have to be best friends, but some of them should be very close or really know each other. At least, especially in these social societies. One of the housewives that was confirmed by Page Six was testing for The Real Housewives of Dallas. Literally, there's proof of that. So it's very clear to me that Bravo was just like, let's pull who we can pull. Oh, we liked her in Dallas. Let's bring her back to Dallas. Yes, she does have roots here in New York too. But it says to me, you're moving people around. And it's not the first time. And sometimes it works. Sometimes it works. But now they're not sure what they're going to do. They're not sure what they're going to do. And now they want to go back to what they were doing before. People were not interested. I know everyone wants to blame Ebony K. Williams. They want to blame Leah. Yeah, they had their hand in what was not necessarily working last season. But people also were tired of watching this show of the same women. Yes, they love some of them and they love those classic moments from over the years. But they also are over it too. Jill Zarin said in a podcast interview not too long ago, she says what went wrong with the show was that there was a missing male energy. Not one of these women had a man in their life. All of them were single, and nothing's wrong with that, but that's not the Real Housewives. And their audience didn't want to watch that. So now all of them are like, what did we do? What did we do? And BravoCon is next month, and we were going to announce this. We thought we had the right women. Now, allegedly, they're scrambling to figure it out. They've been scrambling a lot, trying to put together this franchise in various cities. And it goes back to what I was saying earlier during our Real Housewives of Atlanta recap. They're not going to reboot Atlanta. For all of you saying they need to scrap their entire cast. No! It took them a very long time to form season 14's cast. They're not going to scrap that cast. Okay? They will keep that cast. If anything, they'll add more because the ratings were still rating well for Atlanta. But Roni, they saw some of their lowest ratings in the city's history. But it still wasn't as bad as Watch What Happens Live. Okay, I had to. I had to. But it really wasn't that bad. Like I said, the real reason for rebooting this franchise wasn't because of those ratings. It wasn't. They just were afraid to answer to the backlash that they were receiving for Ramona being on this show. So instead of letting Ramona go, they decided, let's let everyone go. Guys, as always, I want to know your opinion. Do you miss Ramona? Do you think they should bring back the original cast and crew, and who should they not? Were you excited for a new reboot of The Real Housewives of New York? I was. I was like, yes, I want to see a New York that is reflective of the New York I know and love. Let's have that conversation below. And as always, be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you never miss out on breaking news when we go live or when we upload. Thanks for watching.